Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this important conversation about Cablevision in our community. Right now, we're calling out to thousands of our neighbors and community members across Brooklyn, and in just a moment, we'll be hearing from Chris Calabrese, Tim Dubnow, and Dean Crawford from the Communications Workers of America, who have been leading the fight for improved cable community. We'll also be hearing from Walter Mosley, a leader in our community and our next state assembly member from our district, as well as Bertha Lewis, the president of the Black Institute. So we've got a great event lined up, and we want to take your questions and hear from you. As I mentioned before, we're calling out to thousands of Brooklyn residents across the community, and we want to hear from you. Our first speaker, Chris Calabrese, will tell you how to register a complaint about Cablevision and how you can ask a question of our speakers in just a moment. Again, if you're just joining us, thanks so much for taking part in this important conversation as we talk about Cablevision in our community. We're going to be bringing together thousands of community members across Brooklyn, and we're going to be hearing directly from those leaders who are working to strengthen cable service in our community. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Chris Calabrese, who is the Executive Vice President of the Communications Workers, Local 1109 in Brooklyn, New York. Chris?
Good evening, Brooklyn. My name is Chris Calabrese. I am the Executive Vice President of Communications Workers of America, Local 1109 in Brooklyn, New York. Our union represents the Cablevision technicians and many Cablevision contractors. We have some stunning information we want to share with you tonight about Cablevision's mistreatment of its Brooklyn workers, contractors, and customers in Brooklyn. This town hall call is a first for Brooklyn, and we are excited you are joining us. We also want to hear from you and answer your questions about Cablevision service to our communities and about your service. We will begin the call in about 1 minute. At any time during the call, you can press 0 to be queued up to ask a question. Again, if you would like to ask a question, simply press 0. With us tonight, we have several people to give us lots of good information about Cablevision's network and its possible disinvestment in Brooklyn. First, we'll have Tim Dubnow from the CWA National Union, who has been studying Cablevision's Internet service quality. Say hello, Tim.
Good evening.
We also have Dean Crawford, who works for a Cablevision contractor here in Brooklyn.
Good evening, everyone.
We are also very privileged to be joined by District Leader Walter Mosley, who will soon be our State Assembly person.
Good evening.
Finally, Bertha Lewis is joining us tonight. Bertha's been fighting for economic and social justice in Brooklyn for years. She's the president of the Black Institute. Hello, Bertha.
Hello, Brooklyn.
For those of you dialing in now, we are in a live telephone town hall meeting to talk about Cablevision's mistreatment of its Brooklyn customers, workers, and contractors. We will be taking your questions about service quality and Brooklyn live, so stay tuned. So, Tim, tell us about Cablevision's Internet service quality.
Thank you, Chris, and good evening, Brooklyn. As people know, Cablevision is the monopoly cable provider in much of Brooklyn and the Bronx. We've done tests on Internet speeds, and we've learned that Internet speeds for Cablevision customers in Brooklyn are approximately 25% slower than for Cablevision customers in the Bronx. This data is especially alarming because the CEO of Cablevision, James Dolan, told Cablevision technicians in the Bronx on June 26 that he would abandon Brooklyn as punishment against his Brooklyn workers who recently decided to join a union. Dolan, the CEO of Cablevision, told the technicians that he wasn't going to have the Cablevision techs in Brooklyn upgrade the network. Now it looks like he's following through on his threat because it appears that speeds are slower in Brooklyn than the rest of the city. Cablevision already has a history of misleading customers. In 2011, the FCC exposed Cablevision for advertising Internet speeds that were much higher than what they actually delivered at that time. Specifically, the FCC found that Cablevision delivered speeds less than 60% of its advertised speeds. No other major provider anywhere in the country was exaggerating like that. Cablevision stood alone in misleading the public. If you think your Cablevision speed may be slower than it should be, you can get an instant free test by going to www.speedmatters.org and check your internet speed right after this call. That's www.speedmatters.org.
Thanks, Tim. In today's economy, Internet service quality is crucial for creating good jobs and economic development. The networks are really important. If you have had a problem with Cablevision service quality or prices or anything else, we want to help. Please press 1 right now if you had a problem with Cablevision service quality, their prices, or anything else. Someone from CWA will contact you after this call to help you out. Again, please press 1 now if you've had a problem with Cablevision service. We're hosting this live telephone town hall tonight because we believe Cablevision is not only hurting Brooklyn customers, but they are also squeezing their employees and contractors in Brooklyn. Dean Crawford is a Cablevision contractor employed by Vision Pro right here in Brooklyn who can tell you firsthand what it's like to work for a Cablevision contractor. Go ahead, Dean.
Sorry about that. Good evening. I install cable TV, phone, and internet all over Brooklyn. I have been a technician for over 8 years in Brooklyn. I am sad to say I have no health insurance, no retirement, no job security, and I make poverty-level wages. What's worse, I have to actually pay for my own gas while driving around in a company truck. Cablevision is ultimately responsible for the low wages and lack of benefits of its contractors. I come from this neighborhood. I take pride in my job, and I love helping Cablevision customers. But when Cablevision allows its contractors to pay poverty-level wages to its hard-working employees, we as a community must stand strong.
Thank you, Dean. I want to take this opportunity to thank State Senator Eric Adams for helping with today's calls. His support has been invaluable. We'll be taking your questions live soon, but before we do that, we are also overjoyed to have Walter Mosley, District Leader and Assemblyman-elect of Bed-Stuy, Fort Greene, and parts of Red Hook and Bushwick on this evening's call to say a few words. District Leader Walter Mosley?
Well, thank you, Chris, and the CWU family. I just want to take time and offer my support for our brothers and sisters at Cablevision for taking a stand to support Cablevision customers who have the right to demand the same service in Brooklyn than elsewhere in the city. And as an Assemblyman-elect for 57th Assembly District, I'm very concerned that Cablevision may be abandoning Brooklyn. We can't allow for red lines to be drawn around our borough. We need equal treatment for our workers and for customers. Cablevision can't say it's for workers that are in the process of trying to form a union, as well as trying to get a better lifestyle for themselves as well as their family. And if they're going to abandon Brooklyn, we must stand up for those workers. It's just wrong for them to abandon Brooklyn, and they need good jobs just like everyone else, and not to divest and discriminate against those workers. I'll be following this campaign closely, and I look forward to offering my support from Brooklyn as well as from Albany as I become your future assemblyman in the 57th Assembly District. So I want to thank you for this opportunity. I look forward to working with you going forward.
Thank you, Assemblyman-elect Mosley. If you have a question you'd like to ask us, please press 2 right now. Again, if you have a question you want to ask, please press 2 right now. You can also press 1, and someone will get back to you if you have a problem with Cablevision. Our last speaker is Bertha Lewis, President of the Black Institute. Bertha?
Thank you, Chris. I want to say to everyone that's on this call, I really am a Cablevision customer, and I live right here in Brooklyn. And I am outraged that James Dolan and the rest of the 1% in Cablevision appears to be saying to both the customers of Brooklyn and the installers of Cablevision the same thing. Brooklyn, drop dead. Our community cannot and will not put up with such disrespect from the Cablevision 1%. We demand high-speed internet without skyrocketing prices. We demand that our neighbors and friends who work for Cablevision or one of its many contractors get a fair wage and reasonable benefits. This is a very, very profitable company. Their CEO, Jim Dolan, threatened to abandon Brooklyn, and that's exactly what the company is trying to do. So I urge everyone right now, send them a message. After this call, go to www.thecablevision99.org and send a message to the CEO, James Dolan, that Brooklyn is in the house. and that Brooklyn demands the same service as the rest of Cablevision customers get. That's www.thecablevision99.org. Also, if anyone believes that you are not getting the service you deserve, press 1 now on your phone. We will get back to you to take your complaint because we care about Brooklyn residents. You can also go to www.thecablevision99.org to register any complaint about Cablevision to the City of New York. It takes about 45 seconds to register your complaint. That's really quick and short. But I want to close by saying how proud I am of the Cablevision workers in Brooklyn and the contractors who are following in the footsteps of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. by demanding justice, by demanding a living wage and just fair treatment. Cablevision must understand that by denying workers and their contractors a living wage, they are violating the civil rights of our neighbors in Cablevision. On behalf of the Black Institute, I thank you, and go Brooklyn.
Thanks, Bertha. Before we wrap up, we have time to take 1 or 2 questions from our listeners.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks everyone for your comments. Again, if you'd like to ask a question, please press 0 on your telephone keypad. You can also press 1 at any time to register a complaint about Cablevision, and someone from our team will get right back to you. Our first question is coming from Pauline Scott from Brooklyn. Pauline, you're live on the air.
Yes. I am very upset with Cablevision because I'm a senior and I'm paying top value for my service. And they monopolize where I cannot go to any other person to get my service. It's a must that I get it from Cablevision. And it's not fair for them to monopolize the old system. And
That's a great question. Who wants to jump in, Chris?
I'll jump in on that one. Thank you, Pauline. And you're right. Cablevision is a virtual monopoly, but that is not an excuse to take advantage of your customers and not upgrade your system the way you are and the way you should, and not give the service quality that your customers deserve just because they don't have choice. And that is exactly why we're having this conference call and trying to get as much data as possible from this call, and it's time to do something about this.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Again, if you're just joining us, we're speaking to folks in our community from throughout Brooklyn about Cablevision and issues with service that we're having. If you'd like to register a complaint with Cablevision, please press 1 on your telephone keypad, and we will get right back to you. And again, press 0 if you'd like to ask a question. We want to hear from you. Our next question is coming from Mary Thompson from Brooklyn. Mary, you're live on the air.
Hello, I would like to know, is this a satellite problem? The reason why my cable is not showing a correct picture, it's always like snowy and just disfiguring.
We don't believe that it's a satellite problem. What we believe is the problem is that Cablevision has just not invested the way they should for their customers in Brooklyn. And that's why the speeds are less than other areas around the city. And that's why we're having this call, because James Dolan said to his workers, I will not invest in new technology in Brooklyn. And we believe that he is following through on those threats. So we thank you for the call. And we urge you, you can make a complaint to the city about this. You can go to the Cablevision, TheCablevision 99.org, and you can log on a complaint there. It is very quick.
Great. Thank you, Chris. We've got another question. This one coming from Virginia Small. Virginia, you're live on the air with our speakers. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, my question is, why is Cablevision is so much money for senior citizens? I feel like senior citizens should get a break. My bill now, if I get the the class bill, I get oh boy, I'm getting confused now. My bill is $94.79 a month, and that's a lot for a senior citizen coming out of their pay, out of their Social Security check.
Thank you, Virginia. And you're right. We agree with you. That is a lot of money for a senior to come up with, and we think that the reason that their prices are so high is because you don't have a choice. And so we, as a community, need to start doing something about this. And this phone call, this town hall conference call, is the first step towards achieving that goal. So, you know, I'd just like to say to everybody out there, thank you, Brooklyn, for listening in. And in closing, please don't forget to visit www.thecablevision99.org for more info on this campaign. And please remember to press 1 if you have a complaint about your Cablevision service. This is the first of many town hall calls we will be conducting to offer updates to our neighbors and friends about how Cablevision is treating its workers, contractors, and customers in Brooklyn. Good night, Brooklyn.